Hello everyone. How is everyone doing? My name is Mustapha.Mohsen, as you may or may not know, and thank you for clicking on this video, King, Queen, Monarch. I hope you guys are doing well. What I want to talk about today, it's kind of, nothing. I've been having a pretty okay week. Everything's been going, pretty okay. I have just been busy with some more practical things. I've been studying, and for the rest, I haven't really been focusing on too many other things. But I have noticed a few things about myself, and that is that a lot of the times I continue to worry about things before they happen. I think, and I'm pretty sure this is kind of a reoccurring concept or theme on my YouTube channel or on this, you know, this weekly thing that I do. I don't know if I call it a podcast yet. I don't know if I call it just my digital diary. It really depends, but either way. So the past week, I have been trying to work on myself. I have found that there are a lot of things that I can help myself with by simply not only calming myself down, but just kind of thinking one step at a time. I feel like I rush so many things. I've talked about that last episode as well, but I continue to be busy with so many different things at once that I can't really give it my all to certain things. I think I mentioned this 2 videos ago, but this is something that I do really want to get into again, but more specifically on the side of it actually having an impact on me and now being able to look at it in a more rational way, because I have kind of been able to deal with it and I have been quote unquote feeling a bit better than I was feeling approximately a month ago. There are so many there are so many things that I've been thinking about, and it mostly has to do with just my life in general. I have been having a lot of things crossing my mind, kind of having this like kind of philosophical debate in my mind about what it is that I'm doing and why I can't accept the things that I'm doing currently instead of focusing on having to achieve more things. I am happy to say that I have been, like I said, I have been working on myself, and there are things that I have definitely excelled at. I've also figured that there's a lot of things that I kind of want to put on the side. I have been realizing that I had been stuck in this infinite loop of not only living the same day every day over again, but also realizing that it's time to kind of start dealing with my trauma. And I am dealing with my trauma, it's not like I haven't dealt with anything. Like, I have been dealing with it, and I have, it's a part of my day-to-day life. Some things are just a part of me and I will just have to deal with them, accept it, or give up, and that's not what I'm going to do. But I noticed that I was kind of in a no man's land, in the way that I had been stuck in between getting better and kind of getting worse. And it's a really difficult thing to get stuck in, because not only does the uncomfortable, like, not only does the difficult part or difficult aspect of everything that you go through feel comfortable or calming, it also is kind of an illusion. I have to get better. There are some things that I actually have to work on. I actually have to put more effort into working on those things. And I'm happy to say that I have been able to work on them, and I have been working on them. But you still kind of get stuck, because right now I am kind of stuck in this no man's zone, in the sense that, like I said, there are things that I am working on. There are things that I'm working towards. There are things that I'm trying to excel at, perfect, and get better at. But you still get this tempting or illusionary feeling, or kind of imaginary wall of, once I kind of leave that space, as in the difficult mental area, or kind of the difficult things that you have been going through, that I have specifically have been going through, once you kind of leave that room, you feel this pressure to kind of never enter that room again. And of course, I don't want to ever enter that room again. It has been a difficult 3 years. I have been working towards myself. I have been working on so many other things, but still so many things go wrong, you know? And like I said, one of the things that I wanted to work towards is simply not focusing on things going wrong and simply just seeing them as a step closer to something working out. And I know this was an eye-opening thing for me, because I had been noticing that I had been stuck, you know, and I was so it wasn't that I was actually scared of moving out of that imaginary room and kind of entering the open world where not only others perceive me in a good way or in whatever way they want, but I won't look at it in a different way. I will, in fact, look at it in a positive way. This is also something that I struggle with, is the fact that human beings in general, we kind of have a feeling that we always know what other people think of us, but it's completely wrong, because there's a difference between perception and what is it called? I can't really find the word for it, but there's a difference between perception and how you're being perceived, you know, because actually looking at it from a different view, or from a different is it perception or whatever? No, looking at it from a different way, in a rational way, you will know for a fact that you will never be able to know what people think of you. They might say something, but that will inevitably be their job, or be their kind of choice to say what they want to, you know. At the end of the day, they can say something but still not necessarily mean it or actually think of you that way, you know. So that was the thing. I have to get out of this. I have been getting out of it. I have to kind of get out of this box where it feels comfortable to not only not be perceived, but also kind of allow myself to stay the way I am. Because after a while, you start to not enjoy it necessarily, but you kind of start to get used to it, you know. It starts to become a part of your life, you know. You still are stuck in that room with imaginary walls that you feel as if you cannot get out, but still you can get out, you know. But it's simply actually having to get out and having the mentality to get out of it. That was something that I wasn't able to get out, because it was kind of, my hair is bugging me, it's annoying me. I just want my bangs to stay banging. Okay. Because I don't know why, but it's not working in my favor. Anyways, oh, look at it. So yeah, no, I have been so scared of being perceived in a different way than I wanted to be perceived, that I was actually focusing on being perceived in a bad way, inevitably causing people to perceive me in a bad way, you know. But once I am able to kind of get out of that, I ruined my hair myself. Once I am able to kind of leave that room with imaginary walls, it will be so much easier for me to kind of deal with things and just allow things to happen to me as well. You know, instead of wanting to control everything around me, just to kind of have a sense of control in my life, because I've always not only felt disconnected, but also kind of felt not in touch with anything, you know. I've felt disconnected from my own self. I felt disconnected from others. And I felt disconnected from so many other things that I used to feel connected to. I don't know if I actually used to feel connected to them, or it was simply the feeling that I had of feeling connected to them. But that's a existential thing, because actually feeling connected to something, do you actually feel connected to something, or is it simply a romanticized version of it that you create, or is it actually something that you actually feel connected with, knowing that it's actually a part of you? I don't know. It was always a difficult thing for me, because for me, the actual connections were almost always forced, not necessarily in a way that I was forcing the connections. It was more so in a way that the connections that I had were because I could make a specific vision of it, or make a, like, mold something in a way that it would feel connected to me, you know? So yeah, I was so busy and so stuck in that loop of not only wanting to get better, but not being able to progress because I was stuck in a loop, but also so scared of getting better because those are new feelings, no new emotions, and new experiences that will come along with actually getting better. It sounds really cliche, and I know that. And it's weird to say, of course, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel better, you know? But then at the same time, actually getting better gives you the sense of like a forcing, like it's as if you're being forced to actually stay better. But at the end of the day, actually getting better does not imply, or does not even say, or like does not even entail being forced to feel better. Like, no, that's the thing. Because like I said, I am so controlling with myself. I am I'm so busy trying to control different aspects of my life. Girl. I'm so busy trying to control different aspects of my life because I want to get better, that I start to focus on how to get better instead of actually just getting better. I start to focus on how do I leave that that room with imaginary walls instead of just doing it, you know? I get so stuck in actually wanting to move forward and how to move forward and in what way I will move forward that I won't be able to actually move forward, you know? That's the thing. I was so busy. I am so, but like currently I'm not busy with that anymore. You know, I'm wanting to get better. There are things that I'm working on. Once I start to get this bad and impulsive way of thinking, or intrusive thoughts that kind of spiral in my head, or just the obsessive spiraling that goes on in my head when things are just like appearing, or just the tendency to do things that are kind of obsessive or repetitive, just to feel a sense of control over myself, over my life, and everything that I do. So because I start to get so, you know, like I said, stuck in a loop of wanting to get better, but not just doing it and just actually focusing on how to get better, it stopped so many, it was kind of, I lost a lot of chance of actually getting better. You know what I mean? So that was the thing. And lately I have been noticing that it was not only difficult enough for me to have to deal with a lot of things that I've went through, but it was also difficult for me to actually get over them, which is kind of a plus point. Like, if you don't necessarily directly get over things, that's just normal, you know? Like, you're a human being. Experiencing things are part of who you are, and a part of the human life. You know, that's the thing. We are human beings. We will experience things, and we cannot decide whether we want to remember something or whether we don't want to remember it, because inevitably you will know if something will have an impact on you. But not only an impact, it will also have not only an impact, but it will also have a specific no, it will just have an impact on you. You know, you will know that. But for some of the things, like you're saying, like, I don't want to remember that, or like small little inconveniences, like minor inconveniences happening, or what is it called? Or not like inconveniences. I'm thinking of exactly what I want to say. Not only inconveniences, I've lost what I was trying to say. But not only inconveniences happening, or wait, what was I trying to say? Yeah, you know, like if you start to get like so many small things happening, like, you know, like inconveniences, like minor inconveniences, or events happening where you kind of felt embarrassed, and then you think afterwards, like, yeah, like that's going to, like, I'm going to literally think of that my whole entire life. And then suddenly you wake up in the morning after like a week of like actually thinking that, like, oh my god, everyone is going to perceive me in a different way because I did something and that thing was so embarrassing. Like, oh my god, like people are going to, like, nobody is going to like actually focus on that. And if somebody does, they don't have a life, because why are you so busy on focusing on those small little things of other people's lives, or on other people's, like, just what other people do? That means that they are just not busy enough with themselves. You know, they are too busy kind of, I don't know, just doing something else, and instead of focusing on their own life. That's the thing. Like, if you actually know it was just happening, like, you will think like, oh my god, something bad so happened, like I don't know what to do, and then eventually it was like, oh, okay, so that happened, you know? But then this like small little thing or like this way of thinking that you have, or just simply saying a specific phrase that you want to say, and suddenly that phrase is like, oh my god, my whole life has changed, you know? And that does stuck with you because it kind of altered you in a positive way. So many things that happen to be minor inconveniences or just small things where you felt embarrassed do sometimes contribute to your confidence, you know? Small little things going wrong, or even a lot of big things going wrong and just literally getting bullied. I used to get bullied when I was in middle school. And not only did that kind of contribute, like after a while, of course, now I am pretty confident. You know, there are some things that I do feel less confident about. But once again, it's just a part of being a human being. Being a human being. Like, nothing will be perfect. I am not perfect. Definitely not. Some things, that's just the way it is. Nothing is perfect. So eventually, you know, that's just the way it is. But it did contribute to my self-confidence. Of course, it was a bad way of actually getting towards that part of my life because, you know, not only did that happen, I did experience a lot of things because not only was I getting bullied over things that I couldn't really, it wasn't even, I mean, it was things that I absolutely couldn't do anything about. It was simply my existence and my way, not only of talking, I think my way of, I think my opinion as well. It's not like some controversial opinions. That's definitely not it. It was just more so that I wouldn't be scared to kind of speak up for someone, you know? I wouldn't be scared to kind of speak up on a lot of things going on in the world. Like, and I'm still not scared to do that. Like, I'm not gonna do that. It's literally like people are losing their lives. People are sick. People are getting discriminated against. And I'm not afraid to speak up on it, speak up about it, you know? So if that's going to literally make me a sensitive human being or someone who's like too worried about other things or can't take a joke, then that's your opinion. But you know, when you are kind of stuck in a setting where people, almost all people think of speaking up on a lot of things as being a sensitive human being, which not only being a sensitive human being is such a good thing, like you feel emotions from others. You feel as if whatever they are going through, you can not only relate to it, you know, like you have empathy, you've been through things that kind of made you the way you are and made you the sensitive human being that you are. But being the opposite of sensitive, what does that even contribute to society? But not only to society, but to yourself. If you start to push things down, if you start to push things all the way down and kind of bottle things up, it's not going to contribute to anything but traumatizing yourself and literally causing you to literally have emotional blindness and not being able to kind of know what to do with your emotions, or literally have emotional, not being able to regulate your emotions. That's something that I do struggle with, actually being able to regulate my emotions. It's not only I know for a fact, but that's the thing. I am really self-aware about my emotions and I know what I have to do to feel better, or I know what I have to do to don't feel that emotion anymore, or just kind of deal with that emotion to kind of evolve into a better version of myself after feeling this emotion. But I do sometimes, because I have BPD, I have borderline personality disorder, some things, some emotions, I feel them in such extreme ways that it feels as if I'm not able to control them. But at the end of the day, I am able to control my emotions. You know, like I said, once I want to leave that room with imaginary walls, I will do that. But it's just a matter of actually wanting to do that, actually feeling comfortable enough to do that, which once again, actually feeling comfortable enough to leave a room or literally get past imaginary walls that you created with your head is so difficult. But just simply doing it is literally the best advice that anyone could ever give you. Just simply doing the thing that you are afraid of. It's better to do something afraid than not do it and feel regret, you know? If you're afraid, you will face that fear and you will be able to deal with it. But if you're not, if you don't act up on it, you will get stuck in a loop. That's what I am currently a bit struggling with. But what I used to struggle with, as in the past month, it was that I wanted to get better. So I had to do specific things, and I had to face some fears to actually put those on the side and actually feel better, instead of thinking that, I don't know, what are some things like having to wash my hands a lot of, like, 24/7, having to wash my hands 24/7. I won't get sick, knock on wood, because I'm not getting sick. No, I'm not getting sick. I'm not getting sick. But washing my hands just because I had a feeling that I had to wash my hands so many times. Of course, washing your hands, hello, hygienic, be hygienic, that's a good thing. But washing your hands to an excessive amount and to an obsessive amount where it starts to kind of control you instead of you literally controlling the way you are washing your hands, or you controlling what you're going to do, I am not going to go on a walk because my feet said, hello, wake up and go for a walk. No. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. But I'm not going to go on a walk because my feet said, let's go on a walk. I'm going to go on a walk because I have decided for myself that I'm going to go on a walk, and I am going to do that for so many minutes, and I'm going to do that, and that's that. But I'm not going to wait for it to control me to eventually, or to actually do it, I wash my hands because I have to wash my hands, because that's how a hygienic human being does things. But I'm not going to wash my hands 3 times or 10 times after each other in a repetitive way and in an obsessive way and in a spiraling way, just because I have a feeling that if I don't wash my hands that way, something bad is going to happen. What is going to happen? Okay, I do believe in the butterfly effect. I do believe that doing something, all the effects of doing that thing will have an effect on everything around you. I do believe in that, because that's just the way things are. That's just how time goes. If you decide to make a specific decision, it will have a different outcome than if you had made another decision. That's the thing. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about specifically, is that I just have to kind of work towards not wanting to spiral, not having to spiral. I'm allowed to spiral, but I don't want to do it. And not only that, but actually spiraling and not being able to control it is my worst fear. It's something so difficult for people with BPD, with borderline personality disorder, to deal with, because it feels as if you are stuck and you cannot actually leave it. But so many grounding techniques do help me, and I have to work towards actually getting better at grounding techniques, and actually being able to help myself and getting myself out of sticky situations or difficult things that I'm dealing with. But it does still feel scared, because I do not really have a control over those things, But once I kind of get out of that mindset, which I am kind of getting out, I will manifest that. I am getting out of it, and I will be able to deal with it. But it's simply facing that fear of when my thought goes to something, instead of having to do it and actually doing that, and just letting it be, instead of having the feeling that I have to drink 3 times from my water bottle, instead of just drinking the 1 time and feeling relieved enough, not thirsty anymore. But still, because my brain is something bad is going to happen if you don't drink thrice, 3 times in a row, then something bad's going to happen. Once I kind of get a handle of that, and once I'm able to accept the fact that nothing bad is going to happen, even if I decide to make a different decision, that will contribute to my life in such beautiful ways, and it will make me feel better, and it will make life feel better in amazing manners. I'm not going to spiral too much on that. Everything will be okay. I know that for a fact. It's difficult enough just being alive in this society, but I'm not going to complain. There are so many difficult things happening in the world. There are so many people struggling in the world. I'm not going to complain about small little things that I've gone through. I am going to allow myself to deal with things. I am going to allow myself to spiral sometimes, but I won't. And I won't. And I won't. And I absolutely won't accept myself. I won't get obsessive to myself in a way that way of thinking and that way of spiraling actually controls my life, instead of actually me being able to control my life and not being afraid to leave that room with imaginary walls. That's that. I hope you guys had an amazing time watching my video. I hope you guys are feeling better. Make sure to go to my Instagram if you guys have any questions, or if you want to follow me. I do have some pictures there. I do post stories occasionally, and if you want to follow me on TikTok, that's mustaphacastles, and on Instagram, that's mustapha.mohsen, MOHSEN. I hope you guys have a great, amazing day, night, wherever you are, everything, everywhere, all at once. Mustafa out.